Good afternoon, everybody. It's Miss Morgan from the Williston Community Library bringing you today's STEAM activity. So today we're going to do Q-tip snowflakes. So you're going to need your kit if you've picked one up. If you haven't picked one up, we still have some available. You're going to need cotton swabs, glue, and a piece of paper. And if you want to use scissors, you can have scissors. I've realized that it's kind of easier just to take the cotton swabs and bend them and break them that way versus cutting them. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to read a book called The Snowflake, a Water Cycle Story. And this is by Neil Waldman. The Snowflake. January. On a moonless night, a tiny snowflake fell from a great gray cloud. It floated slowly downward with thousands of other flakes, coming to rest on the jagged peak of a mountain. February. A wind whistled over the mountain, carrying the snowflake back up into the air. The snowflake twisted and spun, twirling into a pond on the mountainside. The snowflake melted into a droplet, but as soon as the days grew colder, the pond froze. March. As the sun grew warmer, the ice began to melt. The snowflake became a droplet of water once again. It fell through a crack in the rocky pond bottom and trickled down into the ground. Downward it sank into the blackness within the mountain. Along with millions of other droplets, it splashed into an underground stream that flowed deep into the earth. So look, there's the stream, and the stream's going further down as well. April. After a long journey, the stream turned upward, bubbling through the ground in an icy spring. Sparkling in the sunlight, the droplet rushed into a brook. It danced around some stones, spilled over a waterfall, and surged into a raging river. The droplet flowed past villages and cities, under a great gray bridge, where cars and buses carried people to and fro. So look, there's all the water. In May, a shiny metal pump sucked the droplets through a maze of zigzagging pipes into the irrigation system of a nearby farm. It spun through a long rubber hose, swished into a spinning sprinkler, and squirted up into the air. The droplet flew in a great arc, landing at last on the leaf of a cabbage plant. And look, there you can see that there's these poles and there's pipes underground that help bring the water up the irrigation system. June. In the chill of the morning, a heavy blanket of fog rolled over the farm. The droplet slowly evaporated and floated up into the thick grayness. But soon as the rising sun began to bake the air as the fog rose high into the sky and became a cloud. July. The cloud joined a mass of darkening storm clouds. Lightning flashed, thunder rumbled, and a torrent of raindrops dived toward the earth. The droplet rocketed downward and splashed into the clear waters of the reservoir. It was sucked through a series of filters that removed all the dirt particles until only pure water remained. August. The droplet swished through a long metal pipe. It was pumped into a smaller pipe and then into an even smaller pipe, where it suddenly stopped, and started, and stopped, and started again, in herky-jerky motions. September. In her bathroom, a young girl twisted a faucet, and the droplet poured out into the bathroom sink. The girl dipped her hands into the water and lifted the droplet onto her cheek. A second later, it was falling, 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 splashing, swishing, spinning through the drain into another dark pipe. October. After a long, dark journey, the droplet poured out into the ocean. It flowed past fields of waving seagrasses, over corals of many colors, and into the mouth of a great striped fish. Passing through the fish's body, the droplet returned to the sea. November. Rising up to the ocean's surface, the droplet was pulled steadily toward the shore. On the crest of a mighty wave, it bubbled into foam, crashing onto the sandy beach of a tropical island. December. In the sunlight of a winter's morning, the droplet evaporated. It rose into the air, entering a gray cloud. A whistling wind pushed the cloud across the sea, past cities and towns, beyond an icy spring, and over a raging river. It drifted past a waterfall and a frozen pond. On a moonless night, a tiny snowflake fell from the cloud. It floated slowly downward with thousands of other flakes, coming to rest on the jagged peak of a mountain. For years and years, water has been freezing, melting, evaporating, condensing, and freezing again. It travels all over the world, and in many forms, water has been around far longer than people have. In fact, water has been here almost as long as the earth itself. So the next time you throw a snowball, or jump into a swimming pool, or drink some ice water on a hot summer's day, stop and think for a moment, because some of that very water might have tumbled over Niagara Falls, or risen as morning mist in the steaming jungles of Africa, or lay frozen for centuries inside a glacier on the North Pole. It might have been sipped by your great-grandmother in a cup of afternoon tea. It might have been used by Abraham Lincoln to scrub his hands before dinner in the White House. It might even have been guzzled by a thirsty Tyrannosaurus Rex in a prehistoric swamp millions of years ago. The end. All right, so now that we've kind of learned a little bit of the water cycle and snowflakes and how snowflakes have come about, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make our own snowflakes. So go ahead and grab your supplies and then we'll get started. All right, so as you can see, I've kind of already started breaking my Q-tips in half. So what you're going to do is you are going to either use your scissors or just break them in half. Using the scissors is kind of hard. I'll show you. And you got to make sure you hold on to both pieces, otherwise they fly, which I learned doing this activity. Or you can just take them and break them, and you can make longer pieces and shorter pieces. It depends on how you want your snowflake to look. If you picked up the kit from us, it should have about 15 Q-tips in it. Or if you just want to do it at home and you have Q-tips, you can do that as well. If your grown-up says it's okay, at least. And if you got the kit, I put in a couple examples that we found of ways that you could make your snowflakes. So with like these ones, they took the ends here and they cut them off to make the small pieces. So once again, it just depends on how you want to make your snowflake, or if you have a completely different design, you can do that too. It is totally up to you. Alright, so now that I'm done with getting my Q-tips already, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just kind of make my design of what I want with my glue. That way it might be a little bit easier. What kind of snowflake are you going to make? Alright, so as you can tell, I'm taking mine and I'm breaking it into the smaller pieces. Like I said, if you would like to do something like that, you can. And if you want to save the pieces, I'm saving the bottom pieces of mine because I have a plan for how to use those. So there is the center of my snowflake. And you can make your snowflakes as complicated as you want or as easy as you'd like. So I think that is good for that one. I'm going to make two because I still have plenty of cotton balls or cotton swabs. Did you know that no two snowflakes are ever alike? That looks kind of like a person. Whoops, excuse me. I'm going to take, because on this end I have the fuzzy piece, so I'm going to put one on this end as well. And then what I'm going to do, since I'm finished with mine, is I'm actually going to cut them out. Alright, so there's one snowflake. How did your snowflakes turn out, guys? All right, so there are my two snowflakes. Actually, I'm going to add to this one a little bit more. There we go. All right, so there are my snowflakes. I hope that yours turned out the way that you were hoping they would. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we will see you next time. Have a great day.